everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Margaret. You're on BookTube. Thanks for coming by. I've got a new filming setup. It's an experiment. I don't know, maybe you want to see all my conference badges and my Delacroix and my leftover Yola stuff. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, today, this is rather late for me to be filming. My body seems to think it's already like nighttime, but it's only 8:15. Today I'm filming the mid-month check-in, so mid-January check-in to see how I'm doing with my reads, and also doing a tag because I'm behind. Surprise! So this is the Friends tag, and I was tagged because I wait to do these things. I was tagged by two people, by Hufflepuff Discovery, that's Tori, and Hannah's Books, that's Hannah. So thank you guys so much. I'm glad to be on your friends list, and this is a really fun, easy one. Never stops. Alright, so this is pretty easy. It's not an acrostic. Is it an acrostic? Anyway, this tag is originally by Emily from No Hill Novels, and it just takes Friends and makes it into a prompt. So F of Friends is a strong friendship book. And I could have been cheeky and said a separate piece, which totally messed me up as a young adult, but I'm going to go with The Baker's Secret by Stephen Keirnan. So I read this several months ago, and it was so good, but the friendship comes with a little twist. The friendships that are highlighted in this book during World War II in a French village that is overtaken by Nazis. The friendships are sort of against the will of the main character. She doesn't want to trust anyone. She doesn't want to rely on anyone. And so each little thing is like a path back to humanity and the resistance that keeps her alive. So I just thought this was a really, really well done friendship book. R is for real life. And all I put down was my nonfiction TBR. So what's on my nonfiction TBR is Shakespeare in a Divided Age. So, real life. We're going to highlight that one and hope that I get to it. I'm reading Trace, but I don't know where that is at the moment, so we'll go with Shakespeare. Shakespeare in a Divided America is a book that I learned about through the Hay on Wye Festival, and I heard James Shapiro talk, and he had some fascinating examples I hadn't heard before of venues in which Shakespeare is interpreted according to the beliefs of separate audiences differently. And so how interesting is that, and how can Shakespeare be used, twisted in different ways to suit one's purposes. Alright, I is for indie author. I think this is an indie author's book you would recommend. And since I don't do this often enough, as a marketer should, I'm going to put my book up, The Keening. So, here we go. If anyone else is like me and hears, ooh, set in Scotland, let me read it. Let me tell you, this is set in Scotland. It's in the 1820s. It stretches into the 1830s later in the series. And it's a series about emigration and family bonds and prejudice and sort of social change and people struggling to find purchase in a system that's changing and sort of chewing them up and spitting them out, and how we find our way through challenges like that. So, all right, sorry, I'm losing the plot here. E is for endings. What ending made you scream? And I don't have this one, but I'm going to put up Blackout by Connie Willis because it was so tense. The plot was so tight. They were like circling something towards the end, and I thought, how's this going to end? How's this going to end? And it ended on a cliffhanger that was in no way satisfying. And this was the first time that I actually screamed and threw the book across the room. Not very hard because it was a library book, so I didn't want to damage it. But I was just like so disgusted that this is where the author left the audience. It was so disappointing. So I'm not reading any more of her work because that was a cheap shot. Alright, N is for a new book you can't wait to buy, and I don't have this yet. I wrote down these prompts like a month ago, and I still haven't bought this yet. But this year, Braiding Sweetgrass. So I'm definitely looking forward to buying that. Maybe not for Indigathon, maybe for earlier. I'm spreading out my Indigenous author reads just to do more Indigenous reading. But we'll see when I do my next, new book haul. D is for dark themes. A book with dark themes. Oh, and okay, here's another one I got from the library. It's called Darkly, and I will put the name of the author down below because I didn't write it down. Interesting book about someone who grew up in the Midwest as a goth and then had to reconcile the assumptions about goths with being African American in the Midwest. And there were a lot of things that she said that I had to check myself in terms of assumptions. Just like in the Priory, there are a lot of assumptions and the norms, and this is a topic for a video later. But yes, anyway, so dark themes, definitely was discovering them along with Leila Taylor. I remembered it. There we go. Leila Taylor. And she had it's sort of a memoir into this ruminating on themes of darkness and being Black in America and subcultures and stuff like that. So it was really good. And then S is for share. So tag favorite channels and share the love. So I'm going to tag a few people in this who I consider BookTube friends. Kim at Middle of the Book March, who has tagged me at least twice. And like I said, I'm behind on all the tags. And so sorry it took so long, but tag. Berna at Berna's Bookish Adventures, who I'm doing a buddy read this week with. And, oh yes, we're doing a buddy read this weekend, Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll post it down below if that's not right. We're doing a live of Austenland. Anyway, that's all coming. Maybe I should just reverse these. Jo Loves to Read, who is in our planning video. She is in Australia, and it's another small booktuber whose channel I love. And then Lana Ex Libris, another small booktuber whose channel I love. She is a Russian language speaker living in Russia. Her content is all in English, so it's accessible to me, who cannot speak in Russian. And I'm hoping to do a buddy read with her for March of the Moderns. So yes, all these good friends. And then the last one I had was Bree at Locked Petition. I don't know if she does book tags because I tagged her before and she may be, like me, just behind. She's also got a lot going on her channel, a lot of lives right now. So if you guys want to do this, it's an easy one. It's very short. And yeah, so that's the friends tag. All right, there's that. There's this. And now on to the check-in. So I started off this year waiting for this thing, because this planner took 10 days when it said it was in stock and would take 2 to 3. So while I was thinking it was coming, I got a mail notification a week later and was like, and now it's coming? And now it's coming? So anyway, I was reading and I was having a good start, but I needed somewhere to record it. And I wasn't using Goodreads. So I started off in one of these little booklets that my friend Marcus Kaneshiro made and gifted to people. But anyway, so I started writing down just sort of what I imagined putting in my reading journal. And here's what we have so far. I have some categories here. We have books finished from 2020. So some of these are on Libro audio. Moon of the Crusted Snow by Waubgeshig Rice. And this was really good. I looked at other people's reviews. I'm not going to do a single review on it because I don't really like doing single reviews. But it's an Indigenous authored story. It's set in the northern Canada. And it's set among the Anishinaabe tribe, which I learned a lot about from reading this. And it's very tense. Starts out slow, but has a very good through line and very well-crafted characters, and I really, really enjoyed listening to it. So, A+. The Pit, we've got this one from 2020. This was from Backstory. It's obviously a used copy. It's from like the 70s. This was the second in the trilogy that was not finished by Frank Norris, and it was pretty good. I will say there were some great details, some good symbolism. But the labor movement sort of criticism of speculators, sort of got swallowed by the woman character and the love story triangle thing, which is not what I was looking for. So, B plus, yeah. And then the last one I finished from 2020, which is, I took my sweet time because I was reading this in little chunks, is called The Skinned Bird by Chelsea Biondolillo. She is a local writer, and this is an essay collection, but I kind of think of it as poetry because it's so sparse and it's multimedia, and it's a very sad collection, so there were parts of it where I found it too morose and depressing, but then there were other parts that were, like I said, very poetic and moving and connected with me. So I won't give this one a grade because I know her personally, but it was a very interesting collection about moving past hurts and discovering more about yourself, I guess. And there was a lot of graphic stuff about skinning a bird, surprisingly enough, which I was not into. But hey, science people, look out for this! All right, and then we start with January books that we listened to. So, Death of a Banker, I've already passed on to Goodwill. It was very short. I listened to it on my long drive back to Oregon. It's by Ron Chernow, so the same guy who did the Hamilton biography that inspired the musical. I don't think he narrated it, but I don't think it made a difference. I skipped through parts of it because it wasn't really what it said on the tin. Yes, the banker, the middleman role has sort of gone by the wayside in the wake of companies having their own way to lend and retailers and consumers having their own monster demand. So that was the point, but I really liked the history more, and the parts that I liked were talking about historical bankers and people whose lifetimes held meaning because of the positions that they had. So he talks a little bit about J.P. Morgan. He talks about people called the Warburtons, which I'd never heard of. So apparently I've heard of the Rothschilds. I hadn't heard of the Warburtons, a similar type of banking scion of a family and out of Germany. And that sparked a discussion with Hannah and with Courtney, or at least like a mini discussion. I was just commenting on multiple parts of identity and intersectionality of being Jewish and German in that time period, which is interesting. But the banking thing didn't really land with me. The next one I listened to on audio in January was Stamped. So not the long one, the one that Jason Reynolds rewrote from Ibram X. Kendi's long version. And it was great. He's funny and very contemporary with his style of delivering and writing, and there were sound effects and stuff. So it was very geared towards young people, but that just made it more accessible to me, who maybe doesn't have a lot of the background of this history. There was quite a bit I had little reference for. Like he said, it's a history book, but not the kind of history that you're taught in schools. And I really enjoyed hearing about that different point of view, and about Booker T. Washington in a different way, and W.E.B. Du Bois, I always want to say Du Bois in a different way, and the sort of community of that thought and how it evolved. So there's, more detail than I knew, and that was good to learn about. And as I was saying elsewhere on BookTube, hearing about Angela Davis's early career was fascinating and revelatory. So now I definitely want to read more of hers, and the book on Our Prisons Obsolete that she has out recently, and all this good stuff. So yes. And then what have I read? I read Peace, Love, and Maki Rolls, which is our very own J.D. Estrada's ebook nonfiction about his life philosophy, and it was really great. I put a review up on Goodreads because I know indie authors need those, even though I'm no longer using Goodreads. I'm also no longer using messages on Facebook, so there. It's a lot of thoughts about things that he has experienced and learned from. Self-help, personal development, lessons learned, growth, and that's all stuff that I can get behind. It was a nice read, sort of like having a shoot the breeze conversation with him for an extended period of time, because it's a pretty long book. Kudos. I haven't done one of those, even though I have all those thoughts stored away, so nicely done. I was just getting some training in, reading his ebook long, because it's not this long. This is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and I have yet to go watch the discussion that my local book club had about it, but I can't wait to do that. I folded the pages. Yeah, it was very good. It was very tightly plotted, too tightly for me, because there were a few heartwarming moments, but I barely got to enjoy them because chapters were so short, and you're just really hurried along through so much action, and there's also things that are hinted at but then not resolved at the end. So this isn't a series as far as I know, and that annoyed me a little bit, that you're spending so much time with all the plot and then the little things that you foreshadow don't get like confirmed at the end. But I mean, still 4 stars, and I don't care about giving letter grades and star grades in the same video. I can do what I want. The next read I had for January was a reread, so sometimes these sneak in because I can't fall asleep and want something just like cozy. Stephanie Barron is a favorite author, and this is a favorite series because these books were gifted to me by a relative who passed away, and we both shared a love of Jane Austen. These are Jane Austen as a detective mysteries, and so it has special meaning. This is called Jane and the Unpleasantness at Scargrave Manor, and it's how she sort of trips into intrigue and deception and solves the day and saves the day. So, yes, cozy read at night. And then, what am I reading now? Well, I'm reading, and my voice is going because it's 8:30, and this is late for me. I'm trying to read A Mapmaker's Dream. It's a journal someone found in a very old convent for men. What are those called? Anyway, not a priory, but something similar, near Venice, and it's a 1400s record of someone who kept a journal of all these other people who were explorers coming to tell him about their travels, but it's very journal-ish. It's talking about, man, he came and he couldn't talk about this, but I heard what he said in his silences, and this speaks to me, and what if this isn't true, and what do I think about this? And so I don't know if I'll get through it, but I'm going to try for Buzzwordathon, so we'll see. Trace. Memory, Race, and Landscape. And this one I've had on my list forever. Laurette Savoy. And so far, I'm like maybe a quarter of the way in. So far, it's very memoir-y, and this is how I got started, this is how I got interested, I went to this place to find this and learned something completely different and esoteric, and it's not what I was expected. It can still turn into something wonderful, but I'm just like rearranging my expectations because it's a bit different. So, could still be good. Now, what's up ahead? We have the reading. I will be buddy reading with Keirnan this weekend, Austenland. I love this movie, so I'm hoping that the book, though different, is as charming and heartwarming, because I could really use that right now. It's a good inauguration read, I think, you know, like one of those like safe places. Let's hope. Finally, we've got Persuasion. I'm going to do the, there we go, the annotated version, which is which I've read before, but it's a reread for Amrita's readathon. I'm going to do her, I had a different tag of hers lined up for the last day of January, but that is going to get pushed out of the way by her Persuasion tag, because that was an original one, and she's very excited, and this will be really fun to do together with a group of people. And it's the best Austen book, so there. And then finally, still to go after Trace, is the nonfiction I mentioned earlier, Shakespeare in a Divided Age. And let's see, this is going to be the 20th, the 19th, the 20th. This is going up on Inauguration. Whew. I will have 10 days to do 3 books, but after having read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9. After having finished 9 already, I think I can do 3. We'll see. And it won't go in here. I'm not sure what I'll do with this. Maybe I'll just keep going with my thoughts. But it'll go in here. Well, it's not got much to it yet. But I don't have a way to photograph, like from overhead. So you're not going to get a bullet journal spread video from me, unfortunately, unless I get like a camera stand for my phone, which is not on the cards as of yet. But very excited about this, and here we come, 2021. We're turning the corner today, Wednesday. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the new times. My next, and you'll see this in the next part of the video too. Put the cover here, because I don't want to get up. And what's up next? Oh wait, nope.